Can you tell me about your history? Are you from Houston?
No, I'm not from Houston. I've been in Houston since 2005, May 27th, 2005. I pulled up in Houston. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, from the city of Compton.
Okay.
I grew up in the county of Los Angeles, pretty much. I was born in 1964, and I lived out there pretty much all my life. I moved away and I say about 87. We went to Seattle, me and some of my friends for a little while, and came back home. And then in the ending of the beginning of the 90s, I'm sorry, we went to Colorado. I lived out there for maybe a couple of years. And from there, we came back home, and then I moved to the Midwest. I moved to Omaha, Nebraska, and Iowa, Council Bluffs area. Was out there for like 5 years. And then from there, I went to Minneapolis, straight from there, and I lived out in Minneapolis, Minnesota for 2 years. And then from Minnesota, I went straight to Orlando, Florida, where I lived there for 6 years. And then I went from Florida back to LA, and I was home for 4 months. And then we moved to Houston, Texas, and now I've been here 21 years.
Yeah. Wow. What kept you in Houston?
Well, we came to Houston because this is my mom's and my dad's birth state, and we wanted to do something different. So like about maybe grand total is like maybe like 25 or 30 of us from Los Angeles that moved here in little increments. But we came in 2005 with me and my mom, my sister, her two sons, my brother-in-law at the time, and also my two brothers and my oldest son Keith. We moved all the stuff down there. We drove it all down there. We had two big old huge uh, budget trucks, those huge box trucks, and we had a huge SUV with a huge trailer that we're pulling, and we had trailers hooked on the budget trucks with vehicles packed to capacity with stuff, and we drove that stuff down there. It took us like almost 2.5, 3 days to get it here. We moved to New Katy, moved off the Fry Road in West Little York. When we got here, the house was just barely finished, you know. So we were in a good spirit, being able to come out here and be a part of something grand. You know, moving to Katy, Texas, back in 2005 was huge. It was beautiful. It was so open. There's no one out there. It was just us. It seems like um, it was happening, you know. And Keith was here for a while. Then he went back to L.A. And then a few years later, he came back and he stayed here for maybe a little under a year. And then he went back and he had a daughter. Um, then he came back for a couple of months and he went back. So I've been in Houston, yeah, for 21 years, having the best time ever. Houston is a really wonderful place to be. You know, I couldn't have picked a better place to come and settle down and, you know, 10 toes down to the concrete. Houston, Texas, let's go.
How's it? How has Houston changed since you've been here? 21 years. I mean, that's like that's a long time for Houston.
Yes, well, you know, I've seen it change. You know, the word got out quickly that this was now the new Mecca, so to speak. So pretty much everybody from all over migrated to Houston. It's just so compact now, congested. I've seen the difference. You know, I've seen communities built just within overnight. I've seen a McDonald's literally get built in 15 days. Yes, off of Clay Road and Barker Cypress in that area, considered the Katy, Texas area. I've seen that McDonald's built in 15 days. So I've seen a lot of stuff built since I've been here. So Houston has grown rapidly and tremendously, and it's a beautiful look. You know, you got to remember this is the fourth biggest city in the United States of America. And you know, the Houston map is humongous. If you look at the United States of America's map, you see the Texas map is like the biggest. So that's a lot of real estate right there to fill in, you know. So with that being said, it's a lot of more people coming within the next 5 to 10, 20 years. You can bet that.
What was it like um, raising a family here?
It is good compared to raising a family in California, which California um, once you're there for so long, you adapt to overcome, and you play right along with it, and you do what's necessary. And to come leave from there and come down here, the change was humongous. Everything was less here. The rent, gas, food, everything was a little bit more practical and reasonable. So that was a good look.
Where was Keith Jr. Born? Was he born in L.A.?
Keith Jr. was actually born in Dominguez Valley Hospital in California. It's considered Carson, California / Compton, California. He was born here in 1982 of November 21st. Yes, he was 43.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about his life?
Sure. Yes. I have something right here if you don't mind. Huh?
Sure. Yeah, please.
Please. Okay, here we go. Okay, my name is Keith Porter Sr., and I stand before you as a father whose world was forever changed on New Year's Eve. My son, Keith Porter Jr., was taken from us, taken in a way no parent should ever have to face, taken by someone sworn to protect the public, taken when he should have been safe, alive, and looking toward a new year full of promise. Keith was more than just a headline. He was more than the circumstances of his death. He was my child. From the moment he first opened his eyes, he brought joy, curiosity, and light into the world. As he grew, he became a young man filled with energy, ambition, and love for his family. He had dreams, real dreams, of building a future, of contributing to his community, of simply living the life every young person deserves a chance to live. And now those dreams are gone. Losing a child is a pain that has no name. There is no word strong enough to describe this kind of hurt. But what I do know is this: we cannot allow Keith's story to be ignored, dismissed, or forgotten. We cannot allow a system that permits tragedies like this to continue unchanged. I am not here today to speak with anger, though I would have every right to. I am here to speak with purpose. My son deserves truth. He deserves justice. And the community deserves accountability. No father should have to bury a child taken by unnecessary violence. No family should have to stand in our place asking why and how and what could have been done to prevent this. We are here because Keith's life mattered. We are here because the truth matters. We are here because justice matters. To everyone who has shown love, support, and strength during this dark time, I thank you. Your presence reminds us that we are not alone. Your voices remind us that change is possible, and your compassion reminds us that even in tragedy there can be unity and hope. In honoring my son, I ask only this: remember him, remember his smile, his potential, his humanity. Say his name, not just in sadness, but in commitment to seeking justice, to demanding accountability, and to ensuring that what happened to Keith Porter Jr. never happens to another family again. Keith, my son, I will carry you with me for the rest of my life, and I promise you this: your father will not stop fighting for you, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. I love you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for that.
Appreciate you.
What was Keith like? What was he like as a kid, or what were you proud of Keith the man? What was it like being able to rely on him in adulthood? I'm just curious where your mind goes. What was your son like?
Man, Keith was a wonderful kid, man, growing up. Just as happy, fun-loving. Everybody loved him as a kid, all the way up into his adult age. But, he was into sports. He loved sports. He loved those bicycles. Once he got involved with riding those bikes as a kid, he enjoyed doing hook slides. It's funny because in our front yard growing up, where we lived at, you can see when he turned into our sidewalk area, the black skid marks. And then next door, coincidentally, is where his mom, we was next door neighbors, when he was riding his bike and turn up in there, you would see the skid marks. And And he took pride in learn, when he learned that how to do it and do it really smooth and get a good one. And them poor tires on the back of them bicycles. And I tell him, you better take it easy, because he had like maybe 2 bikes at my house and 2 bikes next door at his other grandma's house, and then at his house where he lived at with his mom, he had a bike there, and then at her father's house, he had a bike. So he perfected the technique and stuff of the hook slide. So that was hilarious to see him do that. I'll sit in the window and just watch him. He nonstop. He would ride really fast. As soon as he get to turn to where he needs to turn, he would do it, perfecting it. And sometimes he'll tip off and fall off the bicycle and get back on and go back to his start point and do it over again. Yeah, and that was something that I really remember him doing. The football thingy, he was a football buff also. Once he got bit by the football bug, he played Pop Warner from maybe as a young kid, the Pee-wees, the little bitty tiny guys, and he played every season up until he was too old to play for the Pop Warner. His next suit up would be high school, and he was such a star for the Carson Colts that they allowed him to play for free. His mom nor me never had to pay for his re-registration, because he was such a name for them, for their organization. They was like, no, we don't need that. We need to be giving y'all something. The coaches would pick him up and drop him off, without any problems whatsoever. And he enjoyed playing football, and he was really, really good at it. Then when he got to high school, he didn't play as much, and then eventually, I guess he lost interest in it, and he started liking girls or whatever a lot, because when he went to Carson, he wasn't talking about football or into it like he was. He also was really good at basketball. Just seeing him as a kid always have a basketball in his hand or a football in his hand, I knew he was going to be good in sports. We could be watching TV, and he would have his socks on with no shoes, and we're just watching regular TV, and randomly he'll have either a football in his hand, flipping it around and messing with it, or he'll have a basketball in his hand or under his foot, just rolling it around and just kicking it around and just messing with it, and I kept saying, wow, he loved these balls. So I basically never tried to stop him from messing with the balls inside of the house, but his mom, she did not like that, because obviously you do not play with basketball, the footballs in the house, but he never threw them around. But sometimes an accident would happen, and it'll hit something, and she would get upset. But for the most part, he knew how to control them, but he kept them in his hand constantly as a kid. This one particular time, I'll never forget this, talking about those bikes. I think it was in 93, 91, 92. I had to go to the hospital with his mom because he had an accident on his bicycle, racing with one of his cousins Christmas Day. And his cousin, they bumped each other coming down the sidewalk, and Keith fell off the bike, but before he fell, he scraped the side of his face on the chain link fence, and it caught his ear, and it tore his ear off of his head, and it was just flopping around. So he had to go to Lakewood Emergency Hospital in California and have them sew that thing back on, and that was a really weird trip. Yeah, to have to go with him to have that thing sewed on because of the bike thing. Yeah, I have a lot of stories with Keith, man. He was a really good dude. Me and him was pretty much, we grew up together. We're 18 years apart, so we pretty much grew up, from knee high on up. Was around each other pretty much. I try to make sure whenever I went to California that we would be around each other. In fact, we spoke of this maybe a month ago, that whenever I came in town, I never had a chance to be around my other family, because he would scoop me up from the airport, and then from that point on, I wouldn't be having nobody else around me, basically, but me and him, or he's taking me around all his family, because they all requested for him to bring me to them. He'll say, Pops, I talk with everybody and they want to see you. And I go, well, I don't want to go over there because I don't want to be too intoxicated, and I'm not trying to be down there drinking all those beers or whatever. He's like, yeah, but they want to see you. I got to take you over there. I told them you were coming, and they all pretty much threatened me if I don't bring you, what's going to happen to me. I go, okay, I'll go with you. And every time he would do that, they would know before I'm in town that I'm coming because of him so happy, letting all of them know that his pops is coming in town. And that's one of the things I'm going to miss. We spent a lot of good time together, man. I mean, I can go on and on and on, watching him growing up through high school and up until he became an adult. Him being a father, a hardworking man. Just so many good memories. I mean, I can just sit and ramble forever. All I have now is memories. But I'm going to keep his name alive and make sure I do what is necessary to bring justice for him. He would do it for me. He wouldn't sit still and rest and allow this to take place. That's just the kind of guy he was, and that's why I'm up early in the morning and over here with you to make sure I have the same energy he would have if it was me, vice versa. And there we are with that.
Yeah, thank you. What I mean, honestly, I want to hear a little bit more about Keith, if you're open to that.
Yes.
What did maybe like what did he do? What was his life like? I understood he had some children.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like he lived in Compton.
Yeah, well, he was born in Compton, and he grew up in Carson, California, which is pretty close to Compton. It's like the suburbs or whatever of Compton when the suburbs were just forming. Early in the 70s, they had a little area called Carson, and he grew up over there. His mom had purchased some property over there, and he pretty much grew up over there. I think it from 95 to 96 up until now. But he had moved to Van Nuys / Northridge. That's where he got into the altercation or whatever with the off-duty ICE agent, which is this location is maybe an hour away from Compton. It's the suburbs. It's close to Woodland Hills or whatever. If I'm not mistaken, it's up in that area. So he's been gone from Compton for some years. He worked over in Woodland and Northridge as well. He worked at Home Depot. He was one of those guys that help everybody out when they come inside the building. He was well loved. He was a team leader there. So he had some clout and some stripes, I guess you would say. He was proud of his photo that they took of him being Employee of the Month a few times, and he hurried up and sent that to me. And matter of fact, they had a shrine out there for him at the apartment complex where he lived at. And I seen that same photo, somebody copied it or whatever and stapled it on some stuff that was out there. And I'm like, wow, there go that photo. Yes, and he sent that to me with his big old face cheesing. He's proud, of working over there, being of service. He told me out of all the jobs he's had, working at Home Depot, he get a chance to move around. He's not sitting in one location, and he get to help so many people. It's like it helps his day go by. And also, he was a physical ed coach for high school out there in California. I think it's in Woodland Hills or somewhere. He was a PE coach or whatever. So he enjoyed helping and being a part of stuff. He didn't like working in places where he was isolated. He was a people's person. He brought laughter and smiles to faces, and people enjoyed that. He whenever he pull up, everybody was happy to see him walk in the room. He brought that energy. And then when he was leaving, he had long farewells to him when it was time for him to leave, or when he was coming in to let people know that he was about to exit the premises or whatever. People would love to see him walk in and would hate to see him leave. He had that kind of personality, that kind of energy, and it's just sad that it's just now gone, just taken away just that quick. Everybody loved him. My brother had described him as being a centerpiece for the family. He was our centerpiece on both sides of the family. And I was like, you know what, you're correct. He was because he was. You know, people would wait on him to pull up and come over, or he would announce he would be there, and they would be wearing his phone out to see when is he getting there. And if he didn't show up, people would be upset because they would be depending and betting on him to be there. You know, he was one of those types in people's lives, you know. So it's like a huge void. Like for me, I feel it. I mean, I feel his presence is not what it was before. So I'm feeling it. So I can only imagine all the other thousands of people that were close to him. You know, I only can imagine. You know, so a lot of people are really sad from this. Yes, yes, and I try to keep my head positive and think all those things that people say when somebody get killed or taken away. You know, he's in a better place and all that stuff. And I say, I appreciate the kind words, but there is no better place than being alive on earth. I mean, yeah, people say being in a better place is better than earth. I mean, but how? You're no more. So that is one of the big ones, which like I said, I respect and appreciate the kind words when people say that stuff. But, you know, so that's the only thing. He's not coming back. We get no redos, no retries. You know, if I had a chance to switch with him, I would. Because I've lived my life. I've had my fun. You know, but I don't get a chance to do that. You know, this is real life, real stuff. So I have to just take it as it come and try to build and grow and share his story with people and stay out here and to keep me with some therapy, because this is therapeutic for me to speak about him. You know, this is important to me as well as it is for me to do it for him. So I will be out here routinely in front of a camera, and the little shyness or whatever that I am experiencing and all the stumbling of my words, eventually this stuff will go away because I'm going to stay constantly speaking about him so people can know how good he was and how he was just tragically taken. I say he was murdered, and everybody say he was murdered and executed. You know, being shot from the rear pretty much says it all. But I'm not gonna, you know, touch on that. You know, I have an attorney by the name of Miss Lewis, and she's on top of all that stuff. Thank you, Miss Lewis. I appreciate you. You know, I'll let them deal with all the legal stuff or whatever. You know, my whole thing is to keep his name out there and you know, share the truth about him, opposed to people thinking he was some shooter or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, people celebrating with firing weapons New Year's Eve, where I come from, in the air and popping fireworks and stuff. And he wasn't the only one, but he was the only one got shot and killed. That's my point. You know, it's not against the law to pop fireworks in certain places, but it is against the law to pop weapons in the sky. So there is a ticket or an arrest that is not an automatic death sentence. So with that being said, you know.
What I'm curious. Is there anything that you feel like you learned from Keith that he's left you? You've spoken about some memories and like kind of his spirit, his example. I'm just curious if there's anything about kind of like your worldview that you took from him.
Yes, he definitely reminded me that anybody can change and be something other than what they was before. You know, him coming from where he come from in our community, and he went for some years just not really being as productive as a lot of guys he grew up with, and I stayed in his ear constantly letting him know that, look, when it's time for you to be able to do what it is that you have to do in life, it's gonna come to you. You know, stop frustrating yourself, and you know, and just stay positive, and it's gonna happen. And before you know it, it took place, and seeing it transition brought, you know, joy to me seeing him taking his rightful place in society, and in the workforce. And that reminded me. So, with that being said, yes, I did get some from him just transitioning and pulling it off and being responsible. That gave me a lot of sense of, yeah, he did it, and I have to make sure I continue on doing it. I can't fall apart, because of his tragedy and wind up somewhere in a bad space mentally where I can't produce for my family that's still here or produce for myself. I have to still maintain a way of life, and I still have to live a life. Yeah.
And what would you want the world to know about your son?
Well, you definitely can't believe everything you read. I'm gonna tell you like this here. I watched a video of Renee Good when they said that the guy shot her, excuse me, because she was gonna run him over. So with that being said, you can't believe everything. But we believe that because we've seen the tires didn't go nowhere near that guy. So it's a lot of stuff going on like that with my son's case as well. Um, so I would want the world to understand that Keith was a good person. He did not deserve to die like that. It was just all wrong for that guy even just to murder him like that. Then paint the narrative of him being an active shooter or whatever. That's just a really bad look. So I just want the world to know that you cannot believe everything you read, and the truth will come out, and the truth will set everybody free, except for certain ones. So, yeah, miss Keith, man, and I just feel so bad that I can't scold him for even being out there with somebody with a rifle. I mean, that haunts me. I couldn't be there. I wasn't there to, hey, halt, stop, or whatever. So that destroys me right there. So I have to like kind of stay away from that train of thought and focus on what can I do to continue on speaking the truths of him and stand positive and stand uplifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my first reaction, I just want to scold him, saying in a good way, then hug him. But you don't get no redos. This is a final. And I'm knowing too. When it first happened, me calling his phone 2 or 3 days straight and texting him and all of that stuff, I was in denial. I had to hurry up and get myself to LA so I can kind of bring some closure to it. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, nah, this is not happening. No way. No way. Yes way. It happened. Yeah. And I feel it every time I go home or I sit still when I'm not doing nothing connected to the movement of this ICE stuff that's going on. I have to stay connected to the protests, all the activists that's putting all this stuff together. I have to now latch on to these people and stay a part of so I can continue on with my therapy that I need to work through this, because it's not going to be easy for me. I'm going to keep it 100. And nor do I want to crawl inside of some bottle and be some drunken, crazy dude, which I'm not knocking those types, but that is not me. I got too much stuff to do in life to be taking that route. So the smartest thing that I think I need to do for myself is latch on to the people that's connected to this scene and stay active and stay in it to win it, opposed to stay out and be lost in the sauce. So that's where I am with it all. Just trying to stay active and keep Keith's name out there in a positive light, and constantly remind people how good of a person he was. When I talked with my attorney and I was telling her, she had asked me some questions about him, and I told her the best thing to do is to pull up his social media stuff, right? Pull it on up and look at his comments of people or what they're saying. I told her you might get a few nasty ones. That's the norm. But watch all those people, and the majority of them knew him. and watch all the nice stuff said. You know, if he was a bad person, he wouldn't get none of that love. None. You know, he got so much love, and it just makes me feel good that he was loved by so many people. That, and you know, everybody loved him. I mean, everybody loved him, bro. Yes, everybody loved him. Yes, you know, so that's my goal, to keep on speaking for him and keep doing my thing, man. Stay out here in the loop, in the movement. Yes. So this is, I think it's the 35th day of him being gone now. So it's still relatively early in this, but you know, it's going to be a nonstop battle and ongoing. You know.
If if you don't mind, can you kind of recount the last 35 days? You have to go like day by day, but it's just like,
Yeah.
just kind of what has the last month been like?
Oh my God, the month. Well, it had happened, sleepless. You know, I'm finally getting some rest. You know, before maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep daily, times 4 or 5 weeks. It was bad. Um, not a lot of food consumption per day, because it was no appetite. You know, basically was turned to skin and bones. You know, just moping around, just sad. You know, not sleeping and not eating. You know, that's a disaster right there alone. So I had to snap out of it. And the first thing I had to do was get back to Houston, Texas. So I had to get out of LA because that was part of it. You know, it was chewing me apart, you know, and I'm glad I left LA, got back to Houston, because now I'm here sitting with you, and I've come in contact with a lot of good people out here, a lot of activists that are now giving me an opportunity to share, you know, my experiences and stuff, and talk about Keith. But right now in LA is so bad. If I would have stayed, I'd probably be right out there with all those people and all that stuff, and that ain't no place for me right now. I need to be away from that. Let them do what they do and let me do this here. But yes, this last month has been really, really, really hell on me. You know, my household is not the same. There's no laughter and happiness in the house like it was. Everybody's isolating in their rooms pretty much. I have to tell my son and my daughter to come out their rooms. Let's get out the rooms and they interact. But they're going through their own little way of grieving because they were close to him. You know, we always close to him, so they're feeling it. They are, and I know they are. So I try to stay positive and try to tell them that, hey, it's going to be okay. You know, we're going to make it through this together. You know, hang on in there. But it's been bad. Last few weeks has been terrible. I've felt it in every way imaginable. You know, when I think I'm doing good, if I start off early in the morning, I'm doing good, feeling great. Later on, it'll catch me, and I have to figure out a way to get out of that. So I don't want to send it on to my kids and have them seeing me all broke up. You know, that daughter of mine, she be watching. My son watches too, but she watches 18-year-old girls. She watches and stuff, see if I'm okay. You know, and I let them know that I'm fine. You know, I'm here for y'all in case y'all fall to pieces. You know, but yeah, so just trying to just keep it all together. You know, remember I have to still live. I still have to make sure I take care of my responsibilities. I still have people that depend on me. They depend on me, and I know it too. And do it sucks at times? Yeah. But if I didn't have nobody to depend on me, what would I do? Who would I become? Who would I be? You know, it's been that way forever. I've always had somebody to depend on me. So with that being said, I appreciate that, and I don't ever want it to end. You know what I mean? I want to wind up lonely and hopeless. You know, with no nothing to strive for. You know, this gives me a chance to be a part of something greater than myself, to have people depend on me, especially family members, you know? So that's what that is, yes.
This is a question that my girlfriend actually wanted. I was asking her like what she thought I should talk about. And I thought this was a good one. How has your worldview changed in the last month, for better or for worse? Like, is the way that like you see, you know, the world, the country, your community, your place in it, like Has that changed?
You know, I'm gonna keep it 100. It has changed. I'll say for the worst at one moment because of my son been killed, so it gets no worse than that. But it has changed for the good after that because I see all the protesting, all the marching. People are fed up, and sometimes it takes something traumatic, and for someone to be taken in order for change to come. You know, and for Keith to be killed, and then that girl Renee, and then Alex, and then whoever else that has also since then has put purpose in people. You know, it got butts out of chairs, bodies out of buildings. You know, it got 10 toes down to the ground. People are actually out there moving around, preaching the gospel about this here, you know, abolish ICE and all that old good stuff. So it's been bad, but it's been good as well. You know, I hate the fact that lives are taken, but as long as it's used correctly, we should be okay. Am I wording that correctly?
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
You know, they're gone, but now we have to band together so we can make sure we can stop it so some more other families won't suffer. Because right now they're on a roll, and last I heard, it was like 9 or 10 people in the last month or so that's been killed by ICE. And they said it's within the past year, it's been 50 something. And I didn't know about this. See, I didn't know about all these deaths until Keith was killed. Because it's been under my radar. I didn't know. I didn't know they were killing people. I didn't know. And I'm from USA. But then when Keith got killed, and then a few days later, Renee got killed, then Alex got killed, and since I've been on the path, since Keith been killed, I've been noticing there's a lot of names, but what about such and such, or such and such, the comments and stuff. And I'm like, what? So an organization that had pretty much accepted me and my family to come and protest with them, they are located in Conroe, Texas, and they're called We Rise Up. Shouts out to We Rise Up. They looked out for me and my family when I first pulled back up in Houston, Texas. And they are serious about what they do and whatnot. And they gave me a lot of insight and whatnot on what's going on with a lot of stuff out here too. You know, they're pretty cool and stuff. And also I want to give a shout out to IYT, Immigration Youth Texas, Stephanie and Gigi. They looked out for me. And We Rise Up, that would be Adriana and Vicky. Yeah, so I want to just, you know, show them some love, you know, because, I mean, they helped me a great deal since I've been back here in Houston. I wasn't even back, not even 24 hours, and I contacted We Rise Up, and they had me down in Conroe with them a few hours after off the plane from LA, protesting in Conroe. And I thought that was so awesome, you know, to be a part of that, and, you know, to be able to come to Texas and immediately, without any hesitation, now jump right out there, you know. Yeah, so that's where I am with that.
Yeah. What hope do you have for the future? And you can take that however you want, like a general sense, or like and like an immediate, you know, actions taken, or it's just what.
For the future, well, what hope do I have? I have hope that, you know, the world changes. You know, people start having some compassion for one another. You know, all these senseless killings, especially our government officials allowing that our law enforcement to just murder like that, and, you know, without any kind of slap on the wrist. You know, from what I've been told, ICE has been given amnesty or whatever. They can do whatever they want, and they will not get reprimanded or anything like that. And that, I think that's just real crazy to me, you know. So you giving them the permission to go out there and hurt and do this to people? You're telling them this at the briefing, in the briefing room? So this is a conversation within their ranks. Hey man, if you murder somebody, just try not to, but they're gonna cover for you. You know, so with that being said, I just wish that wouldn't be. I mean, come on now, what kind of message is that sending those guys? Really? So that's the big one for me. You know, I just want those, you know, the world to see it for what it is, man. And disband those guys, man. Somebody got to step in and correct that, because it's only the beginning. I mean, the numbers are not diminishing. Think about it. My son been added to the numbers now. This thing got ICE agent killed my son. I'm sitting there like, wow, and I'm doing an interview right now about it. So that's huge for me. Killed my son, shot him, and killed him. My son laid on the ground for maybe from 10:30, 11 o'clock that night until 1 o'clock the next day, until the LA coroner's department picked him up. He laid on the ground with a sheet on him, and they put a canopy or something over him because it was raining. So he was laying there in the rain with a bloody sheet on him. Okay, these are the memories that I have. So ICE needs to be abolished and just disbanded, man, because there's gonna be more families gonna feel the way I feel. From what I've been told, it's a lot of families that hasn't had the opportunity to have anybody come in and step up and speak for their families, because a lot of them are like from other countries or whatnot, and that's so sad. So I'm speaking for them, justice for everybody. A lot of those families don't have nobody to speak for them. I'm speaking for them as well as my son. Stop killing people. It's not right.
What, that's another question I was thinking of was, I think we're getting pretty close. I think
That's all good.
Like 2 more questions. And
No worries.
Plugs. What message do you have for young people, if any? Like, what message do you have for the teenagers and the young adults, people that are like growing up in this era?
My first thing is to tell them, stay in school. Knowledge is power. You can never know too much. To make positive choices in life. We all are destined and eventually, we'll have a few bumps in the road, but for the most part, try to make some good positive choices in life. Don't give up. Follow your dreams. You know what I'm saying? You have the same opportunity as the next person. And we all wake up with a choice and a chance every day. Everybody get the same chance and the same choice every day. So use that chance and that choice you have per day wisely. Always check your 6. Keep your swivel up on deck. Stay on point. Stay nice, stay courteous, stay humble. You know what I mean? Don't be evil to people. Be nice. Say some nice things to people. Don't be difficult. Try smiling, Don't walk and have a stone face, or what they say, mean mugging people. Be nice. You know what I'm saying? Have that look on your face where you look approachable. But I'm not telling you to look gentle and soft where people will take advantage of you, but you know what I'm talking about. Come on, use your discretion. We know when we're being ugly, and we know when we're being nice. So with that being said, that's what that is.
Yeah, it sounds like a train is about to collide with the building. If this is set to pass, whatever this is.
I think it's some heavy equipment because I've seen a bulldozer out there earlier. Yes.
Oh, wait, it's even. Sometimes sounds are way crazier in the headphones. For some reason, I think it's like the directionality of the shotgun microphone. It's probably picking it up off the.
Right.
Anyways, we're in the clear. I can take this part out. Let me think. I think those are kind of that's the gist of the arc that I wanted to go through. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about that I haven't thought to ask you?
Yeah, I want to talk about me traveling back and forth. It's going to be difficult on me. I've been back already twice. Yeah. I started a GoFundMe for my granddaughters, and Keith's mom started a GoFundMe as well for my granddaughters. So we reached some decent numbers for them, but the money goes to my granddaughters. And I need to get me some money together for my traveling expenses. So the GoFundMe customer care young lady set me up a page for my traveling, and the name of the page at the GoFundMe is called Keith's Grieving Father page. It's just for some traveling expenses because I got some hearings and stuff I have to go to down there upcoming, and it's going to be me moving back and forth to keep track with all stuff that's going on down there. So if, y'all can help me, that would be really appreciative, appreciated, because I definitely got to get that together. It's going to be coming soon. I'm going to be burning rubber real soon from Houston to go down there. So that's been one of my worries, because since he's been killed, I haven't been working as much as I usually work. My head hasn't been there. So that's about it, basically. I'm pretty much self-contained. I just need just that little bit of bump, and that'll pretty much get me where I need to be. But other than that, I'm just waiting it out and just staying as positive as possible, and hope for justice, shooting for justice. That's my goal, to make sure justice is served, and not just justice for Keith, but justice for all of the victims. That's a lot of people, man. Only but Renee and Alex is getting rotation. What about all those others? Renee, Alex, and Keith, they're getting rotation. First, they wasn't giving Keith much rotation, but we as a collective, a lot of us, my family and a lot of his loved ones, we all chimed in together and attacked social media about it, and we pretty much kicked some butt. So they can't do nothing but talk about Keith now. Yeah, we did that on purpose. For some weeks, we was on it. You know what I mean? We pretty much made him go viral. He started trending immediately. But what about all the other families? All those innocent guys, man. I've seen it. I watched it. I was like, wow, it's a lot.
Yeah. I know. When I was, I hadn't realized how long the list had gotten until someone posted it in the comment section on the TikTok video.
Yes.
And it's just like,
it's crazy.
It seems like it's.
And now they done added my son to it now.
Yeah. Right.
He's added to it. And to see them in different states and countries or whatever, and they're protesting, and then I see a picture, the same picture, right here. They'll have a little picture or something. Or somebody will say, Keith Porter. I've had some people on the page that I set up for him in Italy comment and talking with me and giving me their love and whatnot, and yes, and I'm like, wow, he's all over in Italy now.
Yeah. How does it make you feel to see his name all over the?
Well, I mean, to see that he's going to be remembered, I mean, awesome, but to know why he's going to be remembered is because he was gunned down and murdered, shot from behind or whatever. That destroys me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also to hear my name, because that's my name. I'm Keith Porter. I named him. To hear my name just ring out like this throughout the world, and it's related to gunshots. I mean, that just bites for me. I don't like that. I'm just being honest. Yeah. It bites, but it is what it is. I'm not going to run from it. I mean, that's my son. I got to rock with him and do what I do. I've pressed the front line for a lot of things in my life, and this right here, I'm definitely going to press the line on this, without a doubt. To the TikTok, like they say, to the casket drop. I'll be right here with this here. Yes, absolutely. To the end. I have no choice. If I don't speak and do this, who's going to do it for him?